I will try to continue practicing the platform, and I can write my mistakes and ask the next week.
Okay, all right, good. Because here in the previous class, we didn't get to see two and enough with me, right?
Yes, only the last part, but I was late. Yes.
Okay, all right. So let's try to review a little bit about two and enough. Again, now I'm ready. I'm going to share my screen because everything is ready now.
I will try.
So let's remember, what do you know first about two and enough, Natalia? What can you tell me about those two words? Let's try to define them once again.
Two is like when you say me a thing, for example, I am free, and when if I have the same situation, I do I can tell you I am free too. I think this is the difference. And but even no, I understand that no is like more than the normal level, maybe, or like this. And maybe, but my problem was because I don't know what is the order of the words because I am translating Spanish. Maybe I'm not no I'm not smart for understand this language, whatever. But when you say smart or smart, this is my dude. So this is there are my mistakes in the platform, for example.
Okay, very good. Now we're going to clarify that now, okay, today. First of all, two words before I forget. All right, this the words that's going to be doubts. Okay, you can say that that's my
doubt.
Or I'm doubting about it. Exactly. Okay, doubts. Okay. Right? Those are my doubts. Then this word, try to read it more like this, more like enough. This is going to be more like and more like like enough, enough. Exactly. Close to F. It's not exactly F, but it's similar to an F. So first you can try to imitate the F. Okay, enough. Good. Now, two was good, but that usage of two, Natalia, that's for agreements, positive agreement, affirmative agreement. Here, the two of them are going to be modifiers, okay, because they are going to modify one word. Two is going to modify, in most of the cases, adjectives, right? The test was too hard. The situation was too uncomfortable, right? Yes. This is too something, right? And enough, I think you defined enough perfectly. Is more of something, right? You can say it's more of what we need, right? Even you can say, no, sorry, enough. It's not going to be more than what we need. It's what we exactly need. Two is more than what we need because it is exaggeration, right? Two something exaggeration. But enough, more than that, it is going to be exactly what we need if it's used in affirmative way, right? That's why you can use the word sufficient. It is sufficient. It suffices your expectations or the requirements that you got.
Okay. But you put before the verb or after the verb?
That's what we're going to see here. We don't use enough with verbs. We're going to use enough with adjectives. Adverbs, and we have one more, no, mainly with those two, adjectives and adverbs. Look at these two examples. I'm going to say, and with nouns also nouns, and they have different places. Okay, the order is going to change. For example, if I say she is or he's not tall enough to play basketball, right? Tall enough. So if I have an adjective, it's going to be after the adjective. Okay, to be tall enough, intelligent enough. But this example is different. If I say, I don't have enough money to travel. Okay, so it's going to be before the noun. And we're going to see the formulas, but remember, after the adjective, intelligent enough, and before the noun. All right, those are the two possibilities that you have to know, Natalia. Now, here again, you have everything in the presentation, so you're going to have access to this information. But of course, it's always a good idea to take notes because, it's a different way for our brain to remember, right?
Is
So
the both cases is after
after
the
after
verb, no, the adjective.
and before the noun
Mhm.
or before nouns, right? Enough friends, enough money, enough time, enough patience, for example.
Mhm.
Okay, but
Okay.
let's see. It's going to be better because everything is here. Let's read
Uh-huh.
the definition of these modifiers, please, Natalia.
To and enough indicate degree. Degree. They modify adjectives, adverbs, and nouns.
Good. All right. This is what we mentioned, right? Adjectives, adverbs, and nouns. Let's keep going.
Mhm.
I'm going to give more explanation, but as we get to the point. This is what I
Mhm.
was telling you, right? This is more than what we need. This is exaggeration. But let's read also this, please, Natalia. The explanation plus the three examples.
Mhm. To means more than what is needed. It's related to something exaggerated. He's too tired to play soccer. That box is too big. The exam was too hard.
Great. Very good. Now, what Pearson is going to ask you, Natalia, again, I'm going to teach you things that you can use, but I also need to show you what things are going to be asked on Pearson so that you know how to work on the examples and on the assignments. This is the logic on Pearson, that you are to something to do something else. All right. For example, he's too tired to play soccer. You can say, I'm too short to play basketball. She is right. What could it be? It's not going to make sense. I'm going to give a different example. Yes, she is too young to get into the nightclub.
Mhm.
All right. So there is always going to be a consequence of that. And the consequence of that, or the limit, or the thing that is possible or not possible, is going to be with infinitive. The infinitive
Mhm.
to plus the base form of the verb, right? And then the complement that is going to be any complement. So let's try to work just by speaking first this, please, Natalia. What two examples can you give me with this logic? Using to plus an adjective, and then the consequence, the limit, or something with infinitive. What do you say? What comes to your mind?
Mm, mm, mm. My father isn't too old to practice football.
Yes, yes, you're using a negative idea in that way, but it's working perfectly. My
Mhm.
father isn't too old to play football, soccer, or to practice some sports, right?
Mhm.
It means that he is still right, or he still has the energy to do it. All right,
Mhm.
great, very good. The same with all the ideas that you have. You can only say to something and that's it. But again, what Pearson is going to ask you is to use infinitive after that idea. And it has to be affirmative and negative. Okay, so only one more example, Natalia. You have
Mhm.
one negative. Give me one affirmative, and then you ask the questions that you got, please.
Mhm. Uh, Maria is too, I don't know, what's competent, uh, sufficient for win, not to play, not to win the um, concurso, I don't know. How
That
can I
one is
say?
going to be contest, the contest,
Contest.
the
Mm-hmm.
contest. All right. In that case, look, if you say right too sufficient or too competent, it's like, remember that in this case, too in an affirmative way is going to be kind of negative, right? Kind of negative. So it is expected because in that case, actually, a very good thing to do would be to use enough. Okay, so you can say, right, see, she is sufficient enough, all right, if you're in that in an adjective, to win the contest because it's affirmative and she has what she needs. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
two, exaggeration, but sometimes it is exaggeration for something that is a little bit negative. Okay, for example, one more idea, and then you give me another one. It can be he's too. What could it be? Something that can turn into something negative. All right, something too. It can be, for example, cocky. All right, cocky is like somewhere, right? Perhaps you know, right? I know everything. I feel that I got everything that I need, right? So he's too cocky to be the best player in our team. So it means actually that he cannot be the best player in our team because he's too cocky for that. We need someone that is more humble, someone that is a team player, someone that has different characteristics. All right. And because of he is to that something, he won't be able to be like this. But everything is affirmative. But the meaning of
Mm-hmm.
that affirmative sentence is negative.
When you use to tired, for example, in the first sentences, to is for a positive for affirmations, and no is for when you have more expectations and you have a more level that you need is to.
But sometimes in that one, if you say more level than what you need, perhaps that sometimes can be positive, and sometimes it can be positive. But in most of the cases, Natalia, that's going to be negative. So you can say it's more than what you need, but in the sense of exaggeration. For example, in this case, being tired, right?
Mhm.
You are exaggeratedly tired. And because you are too
Negative.
tired, you cannot play soccer. Right? Actually, here everything here is affirmative, right? He is too tired to play soccer. But the meaning that you're transmitting is negative. That he
Yes.
not tired, he won't be able to do that action. All right, so that's more or less the
Uh-huh.
you have to transmit with two. So what do you say? What affirmative sentence can you give me with two, but that has a negative meaning because it's exaggeration and it's not going to let that person do that extra thing?
Mhm. And in no is positive affirmation.
Yes, because if you say in this case, your the example about your father, right? I mean, I heard two with negative is actually something positive. Because if you say, right, he's not too tired to play soccer, it means actually that he's good, that he's going to play soccer. Now, if
Mhm.
you use enough, actually that's almost always positive. It depends. If it's affirmative, it's positive, right? You can say, I'm intelligent enough to pass the test. So it's
Mhm.
good. It means I have what I need to pass the test. But if I say that in negative, of course, is negative. Okay, so two is actually the opposite. When you write two in affirmative, is negative. When you write two in negative, is positive. All right, but
Mhm.
in enough is the way we know. If enough is affirmative, is good. If enough is negative, is bad.
Okay. Depend of the sentences. So.
Yes, and on the adjective that you're going to use. If it's a good adjective, it's hard to think of that as something negative. But again, in most of the cases, if you use an adjective with two, it means exaggeration, more than what you need, but in an exaggerated way. And that's why sometimes it can be negative.
Mhm. Okay.
Right? So what do you say? One more idea, only one affirmative idea with two, but you know, if it's affirmative idea, it is going to have a negative meaning.
Okay. I am too busy to go to a party tonight.
Great, very good. That's perfect. That's a great example. So that's two. The main usage of two is this one. We have two more extra things, but let me know if you have questions about this part, Natalie. We're going to go little by little. We have more about two.
Yes, I am process the information.
Okay.
But
The main
yes,
idea
it's
is
okay.
clear, right? Good.
Yes.
It's great because, little by little you're going to be practicing. This is not the first and only time we're going to see this. And anytime I see an idea with these elements, I'm always going to give you corrections and more recommendations.
Mhm.
All right, let's keep going. Two, as I told you, can work with adjectives and also with adverbs. The lesson here, the main lesson in Natalia, is not going to be adverbs. That's why we're not going to pay a lot of attention to adverbs, mainly to adjectives. But I need you to see that they also work with adverbs. So let's read this slide, please.
Mhm. To comes before adjectives and adverbs. To plus adjectives or to plus adverbs. Examples. It's too hot to wear that coat. I was driving too fast.
Great. Now here again, I don't want you to know adverbs very well, but I need you at least to give me one example. We work with adjectives. This is the same, right? It's too hot to wear that coat. It means this is negative, right? Too hot. So we are not going to wear a coat because of the, right? And here, to drive, remember, what's the difference between an adjective and an adverb? Try to tell me you first, please, Natalie. What is the difference between adjectives and adverbs according to what you know?
Mm, the adjective describe the situation, and the adverb mm, qualify mm, the meaning of the verb. For example, too fast. How am I driving fast? Not too fast.
Great. I think that's a great explanation. I can add some extra things to that. That's great. You can say adjectives describe people and objects, right? They answer to the question of what, right? She's what? She's beautiful. He's what? He's tall, right? And what you say about adverbs is perfect. Adverbs describe verbs, actions, right? Or they can describe even other adjectives, or they can describe adverbs. Okay, adverbs describe everything, but mainly actions, verbs, right? And as you said, they answer the question how. So that's perfect, right? How was I driving? Right? I was driving too fast. Okay, so clear. Again, this is not the main thing, Natalia, but let's practice with only one example. Give me please just one example using to plus an adverb.
Another. I was sleeping too comfortable.
In that case, look, the fast here is an exception. Okay, we have exceptions, and well, unfortunately, we have the exception here. Fast, hard, late, all right, good, or in this case, well, if it's the adjective. Those are some of the exceptions that we get. Why? Because the adverb of those elements is not going to change, or it's going to be something else. Fast is an adjective, and fast is the adverb, right? Hard is the adjective, and hard is the adverb. It doesn't change. Late is the adjective, and late is the adverb. Early is the adjective, and early is the adverb. Okay, those are exceptions. But in most of the cases, you know this rule, in most of the cases, we have to add two letters, ly, right? Ly. For example, beautiful is the adjective. So what is the adverb? Beautifully, right? Quick is the adjective, the adverb, quickly. Comfortable is the adjective, the adverb, comfortably. Okay, comfortably. So in your example, you don't say comfortable, that's incorrect. You say comfortably.
Okay.
All
This is
right.
in the most cases.
Yes, 90, 95%, 98% of the cases. Okay, I
Okay.
would say even more. The 2% or 1%, these are the exceptions that I'm telling you. And fast is part of those exceptions. Okay, we have a presentation about that, about adjectives and adverbs, and there you're going to take a look at those exceptions. But right now, you only need to know that very few verbs, or sorry, very few adjectives are exceptions. 98% of the cases is ly, ly. Okay, so please, one more example. That was great. I was sleeping right comfortably, and you can say something afterwards. But give me one more example, please, to see if that works in that case.
I was watching the movie too happily.
Yes, happily in that case will works great. If you're describing how you're watching the movie, happily, right? Because that was the emotion that you were feeling at that specific time. Good. Now here, of course, this is incomplete. I would say that if you only use the past continuous only like that, it feels weird. Why? Because you always use the past continuous to give a context of a situation. All right. So, for example, I'm going to complete this one and you complete your sentence. All right. I can say, I was driving too fast when a cop, right, pulled me over or stopped me. Okay. So, I'm giving the context, something that I was doing when something happened in the past. Or I was doing, again, it can be something different. I was singing beautifully or too beautifully, I can say. All right, when again something happened. And again, this is not part of the lesson, but I'm showing you that if we only mention the past continuous like that, it feels incomplete. So how can you complete your idea? And Natalie, the same example, but what is what?
I understand that I need to complement with another thing that happened in this moment when suddenly the lights are off.
It's a good idea. Here they are. This is not the lesson, all right? That's not the lesson, but that's actually for you to use it in real life. If you only say something in past continuous like I was doing this, people are going to wait for you to continue because in English, at least in English, this tense is only for context. And you need to give something more important or something essential after that.
Complete the idea.
Exactly. And again, it's not necessary for this lesson, but it's important for
yes.
Okay.
And that's okay. I was watching a movie too happily when suddenly the lights off. The lights get off.
Went out or went off. But if you say went out, that's going to be like there was this power. All right, this power outsource. It means that the lights were not working. All right, the energy was out. So if you say that, you're going to say go out or went out in this case because it's going to be past.
Went out.
Went out. Great. There you go. Good. Again, that was something extra, but it's important to see those details. Now we have two more things to do with to. You can use them with nouns, but if you want to use them with nouns, of course, you have to use much and many, right? So if I ask you here, Natalie, what's the difference between much and many?
Much is for uncountable. Uncountable nouns, and many is for countable nouns.
Yes, correct. What are some examples of uncountable nouns? Because countables are very, very basic, right? But what about uncountables? What examples do you know? And if you know categories also, let me know.
For example, too much sugar or too much sand on the beach.
Exactly. If I ask you to put those into categories, for example, what would be the category for a sugar? Why is sugar uncountable?
Because you can count the sugar with the sugar is uncountable.
Good. And if you have to put it into one category, what would it be? I'm going to give you elements. It's going to be easy to identify. It's going to be liquid? Is it going to be shaped form? Is it going to be a particle? Is it going to be an abstract idea? Which one is the category for that?
Is a particle,
Yes.
an ingredient.
Perfect. An ingredient, but that's not going to be a real category. For uncountable, it is going to be because it's particle or a set of particles that we cannot count or we don't need to count, right? Because sometimes, for example, if you talk about cereal, you sometimes can count the cereal, right? If you want, you can do it, but there's no need to count that. So there's no the need or it's impossible to do it. It is going out of the category, right? So good.
And there are a lot of categories for uncountable nouns.
Mainly those 4 or 5. It depends on the author, all right, on the theories. Many different authors, they have different categories. The one that I always use is the one that I showed you, right? Particles, liquids, abstract ideas, and unshaped matter. It means something that doesn't have limits that you cannot count. All right. Most of them are going to be in those 4 categories. But again, some people are going to divide that with food, for example. They are going to say food. But I don't say food because not all food is uncountable, right? Some food is going to be countable. So that's why I prefer to use those words. All right. But again, if you look at it, you always have options.
Okay, perfect.
All right, good. Now, very simple. You have the 2 elements over here. You're not going to read. You're going to directly, please give me 2 examples. Of course, you can read now, but not aloud. Give me 2 examples, one with too much and one with too many, please, Natalia. Of course, using different elements from the presentation.
I need too much flavor for prepare the cake, and I want too many candies for give to the children on Halloween.
All right, good. Now, look, grammatically speaking, the sentences are great, all right? But in terms of meaning, if you want to use that in real life, it's not going to be the best option because remember, if we use to in affirmative, the meaning is always going to be kind of negative, or at least exaggeration. Right? For example, if you say there's too much salt, right, or salt in food, that's negative. Exactly. So in your ideas, if you say I need or I have too much flavor, too much of this, it means that it's too much. That actually you don't need that much. Okay, you need less than that. If not, it's not going to be good. Because again, the food is not going to be at the point it needs to be. Right? Even for the candies, for the candies is good, but you have to say that in a different way. If you have too many candies, for example, or too many of something, you can say, I have too many of these things in my house, right? I think I'm going to give some of them away. So because you have too much or too many of something, you can give that to people, right? But again, it's exaggeration. So if you analyze that, then the context is going to change a little bit.
But it's bad if I say that, for example, I need too much flavor for prepare my cake. It's negative, but it's no is usual speaking like this.
It's going to be good. It's going to be, I mean, people are going to understand that you need a lot, way, way more than what we usually need to prepare that. Okay, and people perhaps they are going to understand, But again, they are going to try to understand why you need exaggeration for that one. Because in other words, you are saying that you need more than what you usually need for that case. Okay.
Yes.
And for some people, that's going to be kind of negative. Why do you need that much? All right.
Yes.
So
In
it's in your idea. The
Mhm,
only thing I would say there, Natalie, is only a lot. I need a lot of flavor, a lot of this to prepare this dish. It's going to be better because
mhm,
again, it's going to be understandable, but it's not going to be that natural in that context, at least.
mhm. It's better if I say I don't need enough flavor for prepare my cake.
If it's in yes, if it's enough, yes.
No,
If
I
it's
don't have enough flavor.
yes, exactly. That's
Mhm,
also going to be an alternative.
okay.
And you have to get it
It's more
right.
natural.
It's more natural, it's better. But if you want to talk about quantity and you want to say, right, that you need something that is more of that, instead of two, because two is going to give you a negative meaning, you can say a lot or
Mm,
directly many, all right? Or in this case, much. Okay, I
mm,
need much this to do this. I need a lot of this to do this. Then that's positive. It's a lot, but it's still positive. But when you go, okay, this is the level. The level is enough. Okay, enough. Then you have a little bit more, okay, or a little
mhm,
bit of something. Then after a little bit more, you have a lot of, and then after a lot of, you can have tons of something, but that's only a metaphor. But after that is two. Okay, two is over everything. That's why two is exaggeration. And that's why if you use two in that sentence, it is going to feel like, why do you need too much of this? Because that's sometimes over the things that what you need. All
mhm,
right. And that's why people take that as negative because nobody needs too much of something. Because again, they distrust. It's like the saying, right? You know, the saying that it also works in Spanish, right? It's too good to be true.
mhm.
Even being good, even if you say too good, you are
But
saying that
negative. Mhm,
all right. So
okay.
too always going to be negative. Even for positive adjectives, is going to be negative.
Mhm.
All right. Good. So I would ask you then, if we have the time, we're going to have it. Yes. Let's do it one more time, please. Give me one more time, one sentence for much and one for many, but remember the negative meaning that it has.
It's a sentence with much.
With too much and
Too
too many.
much.
Two of them.
Okay. Mm, 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 mm. There are too much. And
In that one, be careful. If you say are, it means it's plural. If it's plural, it's countable, right? And when countable, you don't say much. You would have to say many, right? There are too many. If it's much, it's always going to be there is. There is too much.
okay. Okay. There is unmatched is for uncountable. There is too much sun today.
Yes, again, the meaning of that one is negative. And let's add to that one the consequence. So that's what is the consequence of being too much sun today? What is the consequence?
Uh, I bronze my skin.
Okay, in that case, you're going to say to get tint, or you're going to say dye. Dye is going to be the action, right?
Ah,
Being sun.
dye
Okay.
my skin.
Nice. Yes. And in that one, remember you can use infinitive, but you can use the consequence with infinitive. For example, you can say, there's too much sun today to go out or to go to the beach.
Okay. For
All right.
complete the yes
Exactly. To complete,
sense.
right? Or for complete. Mhm.
Mhm.
Good. That's one with too much. One with too many, please.
Okay. There are too many um, rats in the Eiffel Tower, near to the Eiffel Tower.
And what is the negative consequence of that?
And this is, and I can't, and I don't like it.
Yes. The context or the consequence is always going to be a clarifier. And as we know that this is negative, but it always makes it clear. Okay, so it's good. There are too many rats, right, in the Eiffel Tower, around the Eiffel Tower, it depends on the position, and that's why I don't like it, right? Or even you can say, if you want to use the infinitive, you can say to be there for more than a couple of minutes. All right, so you can only be there for some minutes. There are too many rides, so you cannot stay there. Or you can stay there for longer. All right, so go there, you sit, and you leave. Right, that's going to be.
Yes.
All right, great. So that was two. All right, that was two. Again, it seems simple. It is simple, but it can be complex if you go deeper and deeper. Remember, all right, you can use this to talk about exaggeration. It is negative. Okay, remember that even though you use affirmative or positive adjectives, the meaning is negative. Always remember about that saying, right? It's too good to be true. All right, two is going to be. You can use it with adjectives and adverbs. And you can use it with nouns, but if you want to use them with nouns, you have to use much and many. All right. Now, enough is shorter. All right. We don't have a lot of possibilities with enough. The main possibilities that we are going to cover, Dalia, are adjectives and nouns. All right, adjectives and nouns. We can also use it with adverbs, but mainly we have to know adjectives and nouns. Here you have the two examples. Let's read these three examples that show the two main possibilities, please.
3 examples with the no.
Yes, but now only reading. Let's only read the three examples.
I have no money to buy that house. Okay, she has no time to finish the test. Peter is intelligent enough to write his thesis in French and English. Okay, the change is in the third sentences because we know he's after the noun, right?
Before the noun and after the adjective.
The adjective, yeah.
Exactly. Right here, noun is before the nouns, money, and the noun time, but it is after the adjective intelligent. Right? That's what you have to remember. All right? Before nouns, after adjectives. Before nouns, after adjectives. Okay? If you memorize that, then everything is going to be simple. And remember, in this case, this is positive, right? Because it is what you need. It is what you require. Exactly what you need. Okay, so if you have enough money, it means that you can buy a house. It's good. If you have enough time, it means that you can finish the test. That's good. If he's intelligent enough, it means that he is able to write his thesis. Okay, we're going to repeat this word. Remember the TH, so it's going to be thesis. So he can write his thesis in French and English. All right, so let's repeat this word, please, first in Italian.
Sorry, what? Can you repeat this?
The word thesis.
Thesis.
Thesis. Instead of E, thesis.
Thesis.
Thesis, exactly.
Okay.
Singular. If it's plural, you change the I to E, and it's going to be thesis or thesis.
Okay.
Thesis is going to be plural. Okay, right now it's going to be singular with I and thesis. Exactly. Okay. Great. Very good. Now, this is the introduction, but remember, this is good. This is sufficient. This is what you need. So it's going to be affirmative. And remember, before nouns, after adjectives. Let's keep going. Here is the order that I was telling you, but as I was telling you, also you can use it with adverbs. It's the same play as with adjectives. After the adjective, after the adverb. All right, let's read this, please, Natalia.
Enough comes after adjectives and adverbs. Adjective plus enough or adverb plus enough. He isn't old enough to watch this program. We are not walking quickly enough.
Good. Great. Just remember one little detail about this word, at least in the American way, try to use this OU as enough.
No.
Enough. Exactly. Now, here, as you can see, this can be used in negative. Of course, if your sentence is negative, the meaning of this idea is going to be negative, right? So let's try to practice first with affirmative ideas, Natalia, and with adjectives, sorry. Give me one affirmative idea with enough and an adjective, and one negative idea with enough and an adjective, please. Of course, in the order that you have to use it, about anything that comes to your mind.
My room isn't organized, organizedly, to invite to my friends.
Okay, good. Two details there. It's going to be easy because the room is organized. You cannot say organizing because organizing is more active and it produces something. Okay.
Okay.
All right. In this case, your room organized. So yeah, it's going to be my room isn't organized enough. Perfect. Two, you're not going to say invite to my friends. You're going to say to invite my friends directly. Yeah. Or you can say one more time to invite my friends to my room. But as you already mentioned, directly my friends without the preposition to. All right, to invite my friends. Great. Or you can say to invite them over, right? To invite someone over, it means to invite them to your place. All right. Exactly. That's one. That is negative. One affirmative now, please.
My day is busy. Is I have to say in positive, right?
Yes, but actually, remember, to say something positive or affirmative in grammar, it doesn't mean that it necessarily has to be with a positive outcome. I mean, using enough in an affirmative way, it means sufficient, right? But it depends. It depends on the idea. But yes, if you want to use busy in that case, perhaps it can be too, right? Too busy to do something if it's a limit. All right, if it's a limit. But if you're going to say something that is not a limit after busy enough, it can be possible. All right, is busy enough to I don't know. Remember, there's also a saying, right? You don't have the exact saying of that in Spanish, but I'm going to give you the one, right? It says if you keep your mind busy, right, you don't think of problems or you don't, right? So it can be positive. So if you use that idea to be busy enough and in order not to think of my problems, then that can be positive. Okay, so it always depends on how you organize the outcome and how you show that information. So to be busy can be positive, can be negative, yes. It depends again how you show it. All right, so what anything that comes to your mind, it depends on how you show me the idea, but everything can be good as long as you know how to organize your ideas.
Okay, thank you. I have no energy or for practice sports this night?
Two details there. Remember, it's good, but that's an example with a noun, right? It's not with an adjective, but your example is good, okay? Because energy is a noun. That's why the place was correct. You said, right? I have enough energy. That's perfect, right? We're practicing right now with adjectives. You're giving me a noun, but it's good. I have enough energy. Now remember, you need to say it's better if the consequence is not with for and gerund. For practicing is good. It's better if you say to practice, right? To practice sports. And instead of this night, remember you say tonight. Tonight. All right. So one more time, please. Give me one more time the example.
Is if I want to say for practice is for practicing.
For practicing. Always. Always.
Okay. I I am I have a time enough for visit my friends.
All right, but in that one again, time is not an adjective, right? It is a noun.
Enough time. I have enough time for visiting my friends.
Okay, exactly. Very good. But remember again, the best option in grammar for visiting is an alternative. But if you want to show the outcome, and they are going to ask you that in Pearson, they are going to ask you to use infinitive. So it's better if you practice with infinitive to visit. Exactly. Very good. There you go. All right. So in other words, you practice already, Natalia, with adjectives and with nouns. You gave me one sentence with adjective, and you gave me two sentences with nouns. Right? That's why energy was a noun. You said enough energy. Very good. Time is a noun. That's why you say enough time. And at the beginning, you gave me an adjective. That's why the adjective was before. All right. But to make it equal, please, Natalia, and to be sure that this is clear, give me just one more. And in this case, use an adjective. And it has to be before enough. So what do you say? One extra example with adjective. What could it be?
My family is numerous, no, for going to go to a party in the same car.
Okay, yes, it is valid, it's correct. It makes sense. You are showing the consequence of that with an infinitive, numerous plus the enough, or in this case, yes, numerous plus enough because it is an adjective. So yes, it works pretty good. All right. I have no observations there. I don't know if you have any questions up to this part because actually, again, we covered these two parts at the same time. Enough plus adjective plus enough, sorry, and enough plus now. And these also were examples that you gave me. So what do you say? Do you have any questions about enough? Let me know.
No, it's more clear. Maybe I have to read the adverbs, examples, the adverbs or the adjectives for have more ideas. But it's more for vocabulary.
Exactly. And that's something that you have to practice little by little, and you have to start growing and expanding your vocabulary. Right? But again, that's not something that is going to happen now. Right now, what has to be clear is the structure. And over that structure, you're going to be using all the vocabulary you will be learning. Right? Good. Just one detail, remember, in what you explained, you made a mistake. You say for use more vocabulary, for example, right? But you have to say for using or to use. Right? Never say for plus the base form because that's always going to be a mistake. All right? Why? Because this rule is very important to know. Anytime you have a preposition, sorry, for, on, in, about, after, at, all right, all prepositions, it's always going to be followed by a verb in the gerund form. And the verb in the gerund is with ing. All right. Always. That's why anytime you're going to say, I want to do this for completing, right? That's or for traveling, or I'm thinking about going to the party, right? We don't say I'm thinking about go to the party, right? No. Or about to go. No. It's always going to be incorrect. The base form and the infinitive after prepositions. Always gerund, ing. That's a rule. So I don't know what else. Any other comments about this or about that situation with the prepositions? Let me know, please.
And no, when you use no in the before the adverbs, no, enough is after the adverbs, right?
It's as the same as
After.
adjectives. It has to be after.
The
Correct.
adverb always is in with ly. ly.
The same logic. In 98% of the time, yes. The other 2%, you have the exceptions, late, hard, early, well. That is not going to change, right? Because well is always well. We don't say welly, right? But besides those exceptions, that again, they represent up to 1 to 2% of the cases, yes, it's always going to be with ly. Beautifully, all right, loudly, comfortably, quickly, all right, even newly. If you take a look at that, I'm going to encourage you, and actually you can do that on this weekend. You look for adverbs, and you're going to see that the most rare adjectives can be adverbs. All right. So, for example, new, right? New. Many people they think that new cannot be an adverb, but it can be, right? And it's newly. For example, the newly you use that a lot in marriage, right? And newly married, for example, couple, it was just right something that happened, and it's describing how it happened. But again, it's possible. Right? Most of the adjectives, not all of them, because some of them they don't make sense as adverbs. Sorry, but most of them can be adjectives or adverbs. Sorry, in this case. All right. Good. So that's it. Look, now to finish, I'm just going to give you some things that you are going to practice. I mean, you can be reading and working that on Pearson, but we're going to be covering these elements. And actually, that's something that is going to take place on Monday mainly. All right. The present perfect. So take a look at that, please. That's part of Unit 2, but we're going to cover that on Monday, plus models of advice and future. Okay, maybe these first two. The ones that I feel that we don't need to practice that much, we're not going to cover them here. Okay, we're going to pay attention to the important elements and the ones I need to practice, and I feel that we need to practice together. But that's it. Once again, we're finishing the class. As I'm sharing the poll, please to finish today. That is going to be over here. Natalia, you can see it now. Let me know, please, if you have any other questions. Remember that this is the third class. We have still, right, next week, that is going to be after the sixth class. And the following week to the next one is going to be 2 more classes until that Wednesday, right? So we still have a lot of time to complete everything on Pearson, but don't forget, please, to be covering everything. Remember that every 2 classes, we're going to try to cover 1 unit. It's not always going to be possible because sometimes we need to use more time for some units, and sometimes we're going to use less time because the lessons are shorter and they are easier. Okay, so it's going to vary, but it's going to vary according to what we need. All right, so what else? Let me know, please, if you have any final questions or comments to finish today.
Yes, about the platform. How can I know what is the total of testing? Because I'm not sure if I try to practice the exercise, but I'm not sure if I'm doing complete. I only start 11, but how can I know if I am complete, or I have to complete this, all of that? Or how can I filter and know what is the schedule for the next class?
Yes, let me show, actually more than showing you, please go there with your account, share your screen when you are there. All right, I'm going to guide you there directly.
Ah, I am sharing my screen
Okay,
now.
yes, do it please. Okay, I can see it. Now, remember, everything is going to be on Gradebook. Okay, so let's go to Gradebook, please.
Okay.
All right, so this is everything in general, but again, we have to be more specific. So let's go to the left and let's open Model A, please. All right, now here, this is everything that you have to complete. It should be here. I don't know why. Yeah, it's here. You have to complete all of this, but this is until the following Wednesday to the next one, right? So it's going to be, again, let me see the date, Wednesday the 26th, right? But remember, we have 2 units per each 2 classes. So if you open that one, exactly, all of that, if you stay there in unit 1 or unit 2, doesn't matter. Let's just stay in unit 1, okay? Unit 1. All right. So for example, opening unit 1, over there, it's going to change. No, let's only open unit 1. Okay, good.
Here?
And that one, exactly. That's A1. Very good. Now, everything that is there, all right, without opening a unit, no, A2 is going to be unit 2, only A1. So all of that, that should have been completed by, let's say, yesterday. All right, no, it's not there. That's perhaps it's updating. Yes, but you're taking a look one by one, right? But if you only open unit 1, you have the total of things that you have to complete up to that point. Okay, all of them. So you have, right, 2 resources that you completed, right? 6 elements for video listening that you completed, 2 for this that you completed, 4 of these that you completed. Great. So you did, and so you are missing, if you want to be at the same pace as I'm working, you have to complete all of these. All right, because we already finished unit 1. So this should be completed. And now, even today, Natalia, you should be starting with unit 2. So let's open now, please, unit number 2.
Until now, until this weekend, I have to complete this. Take listening, pronunciation, right?
Yes, I mean, it's not obligatory, but if you want to work at the same pace as I'm doing, actually, that was until yesterday. But we finished also today with some elements for unit 1. Why? Because today officially is this 3rd class. Remember, the first 2 classes then they were for unit 1. So this should have been completed, let's say, until yesterday. Okay, quotation marks. Because as I told you, everything changed. Starting today is unit 2. So you have today, this weekend, Monday, and until Tuesday to complete A2. Everything in A2. All right?
Monday and Tuesday.
Until Tuesday, exactly. On Wednesday, we are supposed to start unit 3. So you have Thursday, you have Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and the whole weekend to finish with A3. On Monday, we start A4 and one more time. You have the 2 days plus the extra days before the next class. Okay, it's always going to be like that.
And I can open all the units because I remember that when I try to complete some task, I have I read a message about the professor no activate this class or like this. Or
Okay,
maybe
no.
I am confusing with the modules. I'm not sure.
Yes, perhaps you open one in course, but remember, no, everything that you open in assignments, the section assignments, right, that is up there, if you open everything there, right, it is going to be good. everything that is there has been assigned by me. You can
Okay.
complete everything except for, remember, the final test.
Okay.
The final test is going to be available only in the last weekend and the last days, but
Okay.
everything else
I
has
can
to be
complete.
available. Mhm.
Ah, okay.
Exactly.
Perfect.
So if you want to take it, for example, if you know that you can take advantage and you have more time during the weekends, let's say on Sunday,
Mm-hmm.
you can take advantage of that time and you can complete Unit 1, Unit 2, and Unit 3. That's
Okay.
it. All right. And during the weekend, you don't have to do anything else. But again, my recommendation is spending at least 15 to 20 minutes each day. If you can do that, you're going to finish up to the end of the course. If you don't have that time to spend, right, those 15 minutes every day, try to use the weekends or one of
Mhm.
those days to complete more exercises so that you can finish everything on time. Okay, so
Okay.
actually that's up to you. All right,
Uh-huh.
from the very first lesson to the very last lesson, it's up to you. You can start with Unit 4 if you want, but again, it's not going to make sense because those are not the contents that we're covering.
Okay. Perfect.
All right, very good. So that's it then, Natalia. Um, Stopping with this, I think you completed everything. So if you have more questions, please let me know. If not, we're going to see each other directly on Monday. All right. So what do you
Yes.
say? Any last questions or comments?
No, thank you. That's
All
all.
right. Very good. So I hope you have a good night. All right. Enjoy your weekend. If you can go dancing, have fun. All right. I'll see you on Monday.
Thank you. Goodbye. See you.
Bye bye. Good night.